All the hits, Q97.1. We are live in LA, still live at LA Live for SummerSlam weekend, the biggest party of the year. It goes down this Sunday on pay-per-view, and we are here with a certified legend in the business. We're here with Mr. Jim Ross. It is an honor meeting you. How you doing, sir?
I'm good, really good. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing fantastic. And honestly, I mean it. Like, this whole Radio Row this morning has been amazing, fantastic. But talking to talent, the likes of Mick Foley and Booker T, who've been in the business for a long time, amazing. And the fact that I'm sitting across the table from Jim Ross is unbelievable to me. So
what happened to him? You know, he's still alive, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
JR is still above ground.
Good old JR, and still rocking that Stetson cap. The Stetson?
Resist all.
Resist all hat. I love it. It looks good on you, as always. Well, it's a pleasure. Obviously, we're talking about SummerSlam, and I definitely want to get your thoughts on this Sunday's event. But I would be remiss if I didn't bring up you and your history, not just in WWE, but in this industry. I mean, you've been in this business for a long time. You've seen a lot of talent come and go. You were single-handedly, I'll say single-handedly, responsible for some of the biggest talent in this business, even getting an opportunity. What do you think is the biggest change in WWE 2013 versus when you first broke into the business?
Well, I think that we have much more diversity. When I got to WWE, I've been in the business 19 years. I've been here 20. So next year I celebrate 40 years in the business. I think there's a lot of change in the industry, not just technologically, the television product, the look of the show, HD. When I first started, we used no headset, sticking like this, which is great for what we're doing, but it's terrible when you're doing broadcasting in an arena. The diversity issue is something that was the female wrestlers would come in through the territory twice a year. The old promoters had a unwritten quota on their color. So they would only have one, maybe two black men at one time. And we've advanced all the way to WWE, where the television production's top rate, as good as NFL, good as college football, whatever. And the diversity of the roster, I think, is cool. Females have, when I took over as head of talent relations, I think we may have had one or two females on the roster at that time. And now I look at, not only do we have a lot of females, there's even a TV show devoted to females every Sunday night on E!
Right. Total Divas.
Yeah.
So in your estimation, I mean, obviously a huge difference from, I mean, that was kind of what society was then versus what society is now. But specifically WWE related, what do you think, how do you think a show like Total Divas, or how do you think a social media networking like Twitter or Facebook where superstars can interact directly with fans, the show where fans can kind of peek around the curtain, how do you think that has affected the product, if at all?
I think it's brought new fans to the table. I think people see that what we do is more challenging than maybe they perceive. It's not a good guy versus a bad guy, and they grunt and groan and roll around a little bit. There's a whole process, the training, preparation that goes into the making of a successful TV show or a wrestler or a rivalry or whatever it may be. I think Twitter, for example, plays a big role now in WWE. WWE asked me to go on Twitter, start a Twitter account. Maybe, I don't know, a couple of years ago.
I am following you, by the way.
Oh, well, thanks. And I'm approaching 1 million followers, and I was reluctant to even do it, because I didn't understand it.
Right.
So it's like a lot of things in our life that we don't understand, sometimes we resist. And I went along, I did it. It's been really a cool deal. I used to help market my barbecue sauces, and I'm a hype machine with those products, and so or just interacting.
Right.
So it's a good deal. A lot of changes there, and I think quite frankly, not unlike other forms of athletics, I think our athletes are better. I think we're bigger in a lot of ways, but better trained, better nutrition. It's a better overall situation.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bold statement to make. I don't think saying that WWE athletes are better in a lot of aspects. Because we were talking to, I can't remember which superstar I was talking to, but as a fan, I kind of feel like sometimes I have to defend WWE because maybe the casual fan isn't aware of the Be a Star program or what WWE does for Make-A-Wish.
Right.
Maybe they don't even understand that these guys and girls wrestle 300 plus days a year with no off season. And that's
they're looking at narrow-mindedly. They're looking at, is it real or is it Memorex? Is it a mainstream sport? No, but we don't tell anybody that we're a mainstream sport.
Yeah, that was out the window years ago.
That's your issue type deal, you know.
Right.
But to play off what you said, the commitment that the people have made in their profession to be entertainers it's one of the last of the traveling shows. It doesn't have its off season. When you think about it in common sense logic terms, then it becomes pretty damn impressive. And then think you got your TV show. When I first started, I was in a territory in the 70s. So now to think that this TV show is in over 100 countries, it's mind-boggling.
It's amazing. It is amazing. It's a machine. WWE is a machine. Right?
So it's been really good. You know, I always when someone mentions Fresno, I think of the time that we brought Mike Tyson in.
Unbelievable. I was there at Selland Arena. I was there for that event.
That was pretty cool.
The roof damn near came undone. I have never experienced, up to that point, I had never experienced a quote-unquote pop that huge. It was the most amazing thing. And honestly, I'm not going to lie, and just like I have to defend WWE, I feel sometimes as a fan, sometimes as a resident of Fresno, I feel like I have to defend Fresno. WWE put Fresno on the map, literally in the papers after that event.
Oh, it was big. It was everywhere. That confrontation between Mike Tyson and Stone Cold was a big deal, and it's. I remember somebody saying, "How are you going to call that?" Well, how do you rehearse in your mind? Until you see it, feel it, experience it, then you react.
Right.
So it's much like when Foley was thrown off the Hell in a Cell, The Undertaker. I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know what I was going to say, obviously. So you just feel it and go with it.
Right.
And that's one of those deals where you have to be bold enough in our business and in your business to be yourself. And if you have the confidence that you're good or can be good, then be good as you, not playing somebody else. If you want to play somebody else, you should go just be an actor. I never was an actor. For better or for worse, I was what I was.
Take me as I am.
Yeah, that's it.
I think that's, and again, you're sitting in front of me, and I don't mean to make it sound like I'm blowing smoke because it's legit, but I think that's what makes you one of the best broadcasters in the business, in the history of this business. Because it's, again, as a fan, I'm speaking as a fan, listening to Jim Ross on commentary elevates whatever match happens to be on TV. It could be a great match on TV, but with Jim Ross on commentary, it becomes a fantastic match.
I appreciate that very much. The great memories for me. I don't feel like I've called my last match. We'll see. Having 3 bouts of Bell's palsy is challenging. The facial paralysis.
Right.
I refuse to let it define me. But I've always thought that the wrestlers wrote various pieces of music. Obviously, some have better music than others. It's life. And then it was our opportunity as broadcasters to provide the lyrics. I was a lyricist to some great musicians' music. And so it was incumbent upon me to try to put the appropriate lyric to that music but I couldn't do it in advance until I heard it.
Right.
In this case, experienced it. So when in Fresno at the old Sullivan Arena, when Austin and Tyson had their confrontation, you had to feel it to write the copy.
Right.
So to speak.
Right, and it came through, because people remember the ring visibly. You could see the ring shaking, and watching it on TV later, because we all did. We all recorded it when we were at the event. Watching it later, hearing you on commentary, it was just so genuine.
Well, it was on the news. It was on it was on Sports Center. It was it made the rounds, and even Mike Tyson's bodyguards had no really sure what was going to go on.
And I think that's a great thing about the unpredictability about WWE, not just in-ring product, but commentary. I mean, it's just anything can happen, and when it does, it's something special.
I can tell you this, that they didn't rehearse it because Mike didn't get there till late.
Okay.
Believe it or not.
Sounds like something Mike Tyson would do.
But Mike's changed a lot since then. He was in a tough period right there, and so he got there, and we knew there was going to be an in-ring announcement that Austin was going to interrupt and all that. We didn't know exactly the process, Lawler and I. But we, Jerry and I, had rather not known. The less we knew, the better off we performed, I think.
Right.
Because again, you go into your natural reaction. And I've always been a fan. I've been a fan since I was a little kid. I'm still a fan to this day. So I'd rather give you my natural reactions as something contrived,
right,
or disingenuous.
Because honestly, it's, and speaking from a radio guy, I think people can pick up, people can sense when you're not being genuine, right? When something's rehearsed, when it's scripted, when it's forced, they can feel it, and you just don't connect with the audience as well. I mean, I know that just being on the radio, I'm not going to just be a speaker just saying, hey, here's the next song. You connect with the audience, and I think that's a great thing. That's in a small way I learned from watching Jim Ross.
Well, thanks. You got to, if you want to be a successful broadcaster, you got to learn the art of communication. And you got to know your audience, and how do I connect with them? Daniel Bryant has connected with the audience, inadvertently or whatever. He's done it
Organically, it seems, yeah.
and that's the best kind. That's lasting. It's not an artificial thing. And so he communicates to that audience through his body language and his passion and his pacing. It's not just his promo work, obviously. It's what he does without a doubt. And so anybody, communication is a wonderful art.
And it is an art. Like you said, with Daniel Bryan, I'm sure it's those subtleties, the subtle movements, right? It's those things that aren't necessarily obvious, but people pick up.
Change the pace, the second gear, the ability to go from 0 to 60 in a few seconds type thing.
Right.
But he's and he has not allowed his size to define him either. He's really had an amazing journey. So I think he wins the title on Sunday. That's my guess.
That was my next question. I wanted to get a prediction from you, and it seems that from everyone I asked, Daniel Bryan's batting 1,000 right now as far as predictions.
And it may be that we're thinking with our heart.
I can see that too.
It's an emotional call, but he's. I like his chances, and I think I see a lot of unique potential storylines going forward with him as the champ.
And is that, I know being the position that you're in now, obviously you were head of talent relations. That's not a title you hold right now, but I'm sure every superstar you see come through the doors, you're thinking long term. Hey, what can I see in this individual? Right?
You can't stop processing information and get out of game mode. I'm very involved in talent development down in our performance center in Orlando.
Yes, that everyone's been talking about. So that's amazing.
Yeah, it's a cool place. I would say that every superstar from this point forward that you see on television will come through that program. So the future of our company really rests in that facility, and it's a first-class, first-rate deal. We just got to continue to find keep finding talents.
Right.
Keep finding talents.
Well, it seems that right now, and I've used this phrase a lot of times this morning, it seems like right now in WWE there's a kind of changing of the guard. So
I agree.
the young cats are kind of stepping up, taking the opportunity, because, I mean, we've heard this before in regards to WWE. WWE can provide an opportunity, but it's up to that individual to shine, right?
Exactly. I think people like new. I think people like new stars. Back in the territory days, that was one of the attractive facets of the territory, is that you had a smaller, more compact roster, but you had more talents coming in and out.
Right.
So you had some new faces every now and then. And some minor players, some major players, some fan favorites, some villains, whatever. But I think that's what we're going to try to replicate with this performance center, is to continue that ongoing, logical approach of bringing new people in. You can't just drop them out of the sky.
Right.
Everybody's got to have a reason for coming and a build-up, or they don't mean anything.
Right. And it might be the vignettes, maybe teasing a return, or it could just be a meaningful story, right? Aligned with right on the main roster. I think that's amazing. I think thus far, the new crop, I should say, is with the Shield, even with Daniel Bryan, all the NXT guys. I'm excited about the next 2-3 years.
The Wyatt family was the vignettes are excellent. I thought the Shield was pretty established before they ever showed up because of the vignettes.
Right. Yep.
And the Wyatt family created a great deal of discussion, speculation, and I thought, well, for sure, when I first heard, because we worked with them down at NXT,
right.
I thought, well, there'll be villains. But I'm not so sure now. I don't know. The fans haven't convinced me that the Wyatts are going to be villains.
Wow.
I'm not sure yet.
Well, judging from the reaction, they're reacting one way or another, so I think the Wyatts are here to stay, and I personally, I admit I will buy a sheep mask to support the Wyatts. So that's a great job.
That's good.
Well, Jim Ross, I appreciate it, and
thank you.
We've been talking about the Performance Center and you guys coming up, but just sitting here with you right now, I would say that every superstar and diva would learn a lot from sitting in on a session with Jim Ross as far as the mic skills. I consider this to have been an education to talk to you.
Thank you. I appreciate that a lot. I just had a real blessed run, and it's not over, but I've been a fan, and I was a fan that got to live his dream in this crazy business. So I'm still a fan. So I looked at it with a different set of eyes than a lot of the wrestlers do. I looked at it in a different perspective, and I try to share that with the talents, especially the young talents. And then we got lucky, as you alluded to earlier. We signed a lot of real good talents. I got right place, right time. Got lucky on some of them, and but it was all that feeling. Did they make me look at them twice? Was there something about them, intangible, that made me as a fan have a increased awareness of their presence, was I curious about them, to learn more about these individuals. So I judged those talents in that respect, and they had the little it factor.
Right.
Because that's the one thing you can't teach in the Performance Center, is charisma.
Right.
It.
You're born with it or you're not.
That's it.
Right?
Exactly.
And much like, I suppose, minor league baseball scouts have that certain something that they look for in a player. Is he going to have potential? I'm sure that's kind of what you had in you.
Well, you can scout a pitcher, and you can say, well, you can throw 90 miles an hour. Can he throw strikes? And then you get to know him, you find out that he's got issues. Well, I don't want him in my clubhouse.
Yep.
Even though he throw 90 miles an hour, I don't need him here in my clubhouse. So I think that's kind of what the process that I always like to utilize, is to get to know guys better. And before we let them in the house, sit at the hotel for a while, then we'll bring you in, you know. So this process in Orlando will allow us to do a good job of that, and it's some exciting days are ahead.
I look forward to it. Well, you have much to brag about in your career, and I look forward to, assuming you're going to be part of the Access all this weekend here in LA too.
Yep.
So I look forward to seeing you all the activities at Access and SummerSlam on pay-per-view this Sunday. It's going to be phenomenal.
I'm going to be working this weekend with the folks that make our new video game. It's out in October. I did a lot of work on that.
Nice.
Lawler and I, the King and I, revoiced 29 years worth of WrestleManias.
Wow.
All the WrestleMania mode are JR and the King.
That's awesome.
So we had a blast.
That's awesome. And honestly, again, as a fan, it kind of stinks not to see JR in the commentary. Not to say that I don't enjoy the commentary now, but I love to hear you on video games or when you're doing the Legends Roundtable for WWE 24/7 or DVD voiceovers. I love that. So
I appreciate it. I still enjoy it. I still have fun.
Well, continued success, and again, I consider this my honor and my education to be sitting here with you.
And I'll always remember Fresno.
I appreciate
that
it.
one night in Fresno.
Right, that one night in Fresno where we made headlines around the world.
Exactly.
I appreciate it. Jim Ross, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.